The Houston Texans look like a team that just broke the script of this season and nobody is ready for it. 1 month ago, people were wondering if last year was a one-year spark. Now Houston is smashing the gas, stacking wins, and making every game feel like a mismatch. When you see CJ Stroud firing lasers, Nico Collins gliding past defenders, and a rookie like Woody Marks turning chaos into touchdowns, it feels less like a nice run and more like the start of something that can shake the whole AFC. This is not quiet progress. This is a team that walks into a game and makes it feel decided in the first 15 minutes. What makes it scary is how complete the shift is. The offense is no longer just asking CJ Stroud to save them on 3rd and long. It is living in attack mode from the first snap. Deep shots to Nico Collins, timing routes to Dalton Schultz, hard downhill runs from Woody Marks and bursts from Jawar Jordan give Houston a mix that defenses cannot cheat against. The line in front of them is moving people off the ball, giving Stroud clean pockets and giving the backs lanes that were not there before, so every drive has a real chance to end in the end zone instead of a field goal and a sigh. Then you remember, this is only half the story, because the defense and special teams are just as loud. You have Kamari Lassiter turning a slightly off throw into a back-breaking interception, Jamal Hill blowing up a return and knocking the ball free, and Jalen Noel flipping the field with a return that feels like a gut punch to the other sideline. All three phases are feeding each other, and that is why the Texans suddenly look out of control in the best possible way. To really see how far this has come, we need to rewind to that statement win over the Arizona Cardinals and break down how the offense walked in, hit first, and never let them breathe. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Texans and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. The Houston Texans did not just beat the Arizona Cardinals. They turned that afternoon into proof that this attack can explode on command. From the moment CJ Stroud dropped back and ripped that early deep ball to Nico Collins, you could feel the balance of the game tilt. A 57-yard strike on the opening drive, a fast jump to a 17-0 cushion by the end of the first quarter, and a final score of 40-20 told the basic story, but the energy behind it was even louder. Houston came out acting like the better team, played with complete confidence, and never once let Arizona believe they were in control of anything. Underneath that scoreboard is the way CJ Stroud ran the show. He finished at 22 of 29 passing with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. But the numbers do not capture how calm he looked. He hit Nico Collins on timing routes, found Dalton Schultz sitting in space when the defense dropped deep, and took what Arizona gave him without forcing throws. Every drive felt planned, not lucky. When the Cardinals tried to bring pressure, Stroud slid in the pocket, kept 2 hands on the ball, and still found his man. When they sat back, he stayed patient and took the easy completions that slowly broke their will. What really changes the whole picture is how well the offense functioned around him. The line gave CJ Stroud time, opened lanes for Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan, and helped the team pile up almost 400 yards of total offense while giving up only 1 sack. Woody Marks punched in a short score, Jawar Jordan added chunk gains on the ground, and Houston kept the chains moving without needing tricks or desperation. Watching that mix of clean passing and powerful rushing against Arizona makes one thing clear. This is not just a hot quarterback. It is a complete backfield and ground game rising behind him, and that is where things get really interesting. The Houston Texans suddenly have a ground attack that feels like a weapon, not just a checklist item, and it starts with rookie running back Woody Marks. He is not just hitting the hole, he is fixing broken plays and turning them into points. Like that snap that slipped past CJ Stroud where Woody Marks scooped it and fought through contact for a score. On normal downs, he runs with real purpose, lowering his pads, finishing runs, and dragging defenders so that even a simple handoff sends a message. 7 carries for 30 yards does not look wild on paper, but when every touch looks violent and confident, defenses feel it, and coordinators have to respect it. Then you have Jawar Jordan walking in from the practice squad and looking like he has been part of this offense for years. His 15 carries for 101 yards showed a different style, more sudden cuts, more acceleration in the second level, and it kept Arizona from locking into one type of back. When Woody Marks left the game, the run game did not fade. It shifted into a new gear with Jawar Jordan slicing through lanes and keeping Houston ahead of the chains. That kind of depth changes drive scripts, because now you can rotate fresh legs, protect your rookie back, and still keep the same standard on every rushing snap. The quiet stars behind both backs are the big bodies up front, who keep winning at the line of scrimmage. The offensive line is getting off the ball with real force, climbing to linebackers and finishing blocks so that runs do not end on first contact. Long drives wear down fronts, burn clock, and let CJ Stroud play from comfortable situations instead of constant third and long. That pounding style also helps the other side of the roster, because when your offense controls tempo, your defense and special teams walk onto the field charged up instead of gassed, and that is where Houston is starting to look truly dangerous. The Houston Texans are scaring teams right now, because even before the offense settles in, the game can tilt on one violent snap from this defense and special teams group. In those first few minutes against Arizona, you saw Jaylen Noel rip off a long return, CJ Stroud hit Nico Collins for a quick strike, and then Jamal Hill blow up a kickoff so hard the ball popped loose and dropped into the hands of Dare Ogunbowale. By the time the Cardinals tried to run a normal drive, they were already playing from behind and stuck in bad field position. When a defense walks onto the field with that kind of scoreboard cushion and energy, it can pin its ears back and make the whole afternoon feel one-sided. It was not just early fireworks, it was smart, timely defense when Arizona tried to fight back. Kamari Lassiter read a deep shot and turned a slightly overthrown ball from Jacoby Brissett into a clean interception that killed a drive right when a touchdown could have changed the mood. Up front, the pass rush did not always show up as sacks, but it kept hands in throwing lanes and forced hurried decisions, even while Trey McBride was putting up numbers and reminding everyone he is a star tight end. Special teams kept stacking small wins too, with Jaylen Noel setting up short fields and Fairbairn calmly knocking through kicks, so every stop actually turned into points on the board. Those little swings add up fast when your opponent has to go the long way on every series. What makes this dangerous for the rest of the league is how it all connects. An offense that can score fast, a defense that can flip momentum with a takeaway, and a rookie returner like Jaylen Noel constantly tilting the field means Houston does not need a perfect script to control a game. It only needs a few key moments. That kind of complete profile matters even more when you zoom out from one Sunday and look at the rest of the conference. Other contenders are dealing with injuries, wild swings, and pressure games, and that is exactly why the results from the rest of Week 15 turned this single win into something much bigger for the Texans. The Houston Texans did their job and handled Arizona, but the real shock came when you zoomed out and looked at the rest of Week 15. The Jacksonville Jaguars did not slip at all. They smashed the New York Jets 48-20 with Trevor Lawrence stacking 6 total touchdowns and Travis Etienne finding the end zone 3 times, while Jacoby Myers moved the chains with 5 catches for 71 yards. That result matters because it kept the pressure on Houston in the AFC South. There was never going to be a free pass to the top of the division. If you want first place, you have to keep matching a team that scores like that, and that makes every Texans drive and every finish feel even heavier. At the same time, other games were quietly shifting the whole playoff picture around Houston. The Denver Broncos stayed red hot with a comeback win over the Green Bay Packers, another result that keeps them in the mix and sets up a huge showdown with Jacksonville and Denver that every Texans fan now has circled. The Baltimore Ravens completely shut down the Cincinnati Bengals 24-0. With Lamar Jackson and that defense reminding everyone that they are still a problem, while questions started to grow around Joe Burrow and the future of that Cincinnati core. In one afternoon, you could see which teams are rising, which ones are hanging on, and which ones might be about to slide out of the way. Even outside the Texans division, the grid started to tilt. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Las Vegas Raiders 31-0. The Chicago Bears took care of the Cleveland Browns, and the Los Angeles Rams handled the Detroit Lions, all results that move seeds and wild card lanes a little bit at a time. For Houston, that means the win over Arizona is not just another good Sunday. It is a step forward in a race where almost every other contender is forced into high-pressure games. And the wild part is, the biggest shocks from this week were not just scores, they were the injuries and quarterback storylines that might open the door even wider for the Texans, which is where things start to get really serious. The Houston Texans just watched the AFC shake itself up in one wild stretch of games, and the ripple effect could not be more serious. While Houston was rolling, 2 other matchups quietly shifted the power map, one with a young quarterback struggling in a pressure spot, and one with a superstar going down in a way that nobody ever wants to see. In a single evening, you could feel which teams are climbing, which ones are only hanging on by name value, and which long-time roadblocks might finally be moving out of the way. For a team that already looks like it has caught fire at the right time, that kind of chaos is not just noise, it is opportunity. Start with Buffalo and New England, because that game showed exactly how thin the line is between hype and control. Drake May walked into it with people whispering about awards, but he finished with 14 of 23 passing for 155 yards and 1 interception, and never really took over the night. On the other sideline, Josh Allen played like a veteran who understood the stakes, going 19 of 28 for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns, while James Cook shredded the Patriots' defense on the ground and through the air. That comeback keeps the Bills alive. But it also keeps the pressure on New England to drop more games, which matters for seeding and tiebreakers. The quiet winner watching from a distance is Houston, because every extra race and every extra stumble in the conference makes their steady climb stand out even more. Then there is Kansas City against the Chargers, the moment that sent a cold shock through the entire league. The Chiefs were fighting to save their season when Patrick Mahomes took a hit, stayed down, and later it was confirmed as a torn ACL. You never want to see that for any player, and especially not for someone who has defined so many recent playoff runs, but it changes the picture in a very real way. Gardner Minshew came in, threw a late interception, and the Chargers stole a 16-13 win. That pushed the Chiefs out of the playoff race and pulled Los Angeles closer to Houston in the wildcard chase. Now the Texans know they face the Chargers soon with a chance to jump them. The old Chiefs wall is suddenly gone, and the only real question left is whether this Houston team is ready to turn that chaos into a permanent place among the contenders. That is where their journey from a rough start to a real identity becomes the heart of the story. The Houston Texans opened this season at a record of 0-3, and it felt like the whole fan base took a gut punch. 2 years ago in his rookie season, CJ Stroud had everyone dreaming about the next decade. Then last year, the pressure up the middle, the stalled drives, and the random losses made people wonder if the front office misread the window. Was the GM actually building the right roster? Was the coach really the long-term answer? Was the quarterback as special as he looked early, or just a bright start cooling down? It was not panic, but it was that quiet fear that maybe the peak had already passed before it even began. Now look at the same team sitting at 9-5 after 6 straight wins, and it feels like the mask has come off and the real version has finally stepped forward. CJ Stroud is playing like the guy everyone believed in. Calm in the pocket, deadly when he needs a big throw, and smart enough to lean on his help. You have Nico Collins as a true number 1 wideout, Dalton Schultz as a safety valve who punishes soft spots, Woody Marks running like a rookie who did not get the memo about easing in, and Jawar Jordan bringing fresh legs that keep the ground game dangerous deep into the fourth quarter. On defense, you see players like Kamari Lassiter jumping routes, Jamal Hill forcing fumbles, and Jalen Noel turning returns into sudden field position swings. That is not a team hoping to be taken seriously, that is a group playing like it knows exactly who it is. The biggest change is mental, because now every Sunday feels like Houston expects to carry the fight instead of survive it. Fans are no longer just praying for a wild card ticket, they are looking at this identity and asking how far it can go when the stage gets bigger and the lights get harsh. A hot quarterback, a real running game, playmakers on defense and special teams, and a locker room that already answered the "Are we for real?" question sets the stage for something much larger. The only thing left is to see how this version of the Texans handles the final stretch, with the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Colts lined up as the last test before the real dance begins. The Houston Texans now stand in front of a 3-game stretch that can flip their whole season from feel-good story into something unforgettable. First comes Las Vegas, a team that just took a heavy loss and will walk into Houston with nothing to lose and plenty of pride. After that, it is a trip to Los Angeles to face a Chargers group that throws the ball all over the field, then a closing date in Indianapolis against a Colts team that refuses to back down behind Phillip Rivers. None of these games is a simple box to tick. Each one is a different kind of pressure test, and together they will decide where and how Houston steps into January. The Raiders game is a test of maturity, not talent. You are facing a team that just got shut out, that hears all week how bad it is, and would love nothing more than to ruin a rising story with one upset. If the Texans come out sharp, protect the ball, and lean on CJ Stroud with that strong ground game, they send a message that they do not play down to anyone. Then comes the Chargers, and that feels like a stage built for quarterbacks, with CJ Stroud and Justin Herbert both capable of lighting up the scoreboard. Win that one on the road, and you are not just adding another victory, you are jumping a direct rival in the conference order. Finish with the Colts, and you get the kind of cold, physical division battle that always reveals who is built for long playoff runs, especially when you are trying to beat Phillip Rivers in his own building. All of this leads to a simple but massive question that hangs over the Texans right now. Are they just the fun team that got hot in December? Or are they ready to take control of their path and walk into the postseason as a group no one wants to see on the other sideline? The style is there, an attack that can throw and run, a defense that steals possessions, special teams that tilt the field, and a young leader in CJ Stroud who plays with calm in big moments. Out of control now stops sounding like chaos and starts sounding like momentum that other teams cannot slow down. The only thing left is to see which version of this Houston team shows up when everything is on the line, because that answer will decide how far this story can really go.